Hi, I'm Alice Heiman. I'm glad you're here because we're going to talk about driving sales growth. If you're a business owner who also leads sales, or if you are a sales leader, you're in the right place. I know you want to drive sales at your company, and some of you want the rapid exponential sales growth that's going to skyrocket your company. So I'm going to give you some ideas about how you can do that. But first, I want to ask you a couple of questions. Have you ever had a negative thought in your head about sales at your company? Have you ever let any of those negative thoughts come out of your mouth? Yeah, we're all human, and it definitely happens sometimes. And I'm not surprised because negative thoughts have a really big impact on the way our brains work. It's the way we're wired. So I don't have a lot of time to talk about brain theory right now, but it is really good to understand a little bit about how your brain is wired if you want to increase sales. So I want you to think about how many things you did right today. Now, if it's early and you're listening to this, you just got up. But hey, you woke up, you got out of bed, you maybe even made your bed, you brushed your teeth, you got your coffee, you made breakfast, you got yourself to work. If it's later in the day, you probably helped your teams close some deals and did some other great things for your business as well. I'd venture to say you'd probably done 100 positive things throughout the entire day. But then you know what happens? You do one negative thing. Maybe you spill something, maybe you forget something important, or maybe your team loses a big deal you couldn't afford to lose. And what does your brain do? It focuses on that one negative thing. Did 100 positive things, but your brain is focusing on that one negative thing that you did. Why is that? I don't know any other game that's scored that way, right? In the game of life, we do 100 positive things and that one negative thing somehow wins. It's crazy, but it is definitely the way that our brain is wired. Now, not to worry so much because it's something that we do have some control over. We cannot let the negative win out. It's just something we have to stop doing. Dr. Rich Hansen said, the brain is like Velcro for negative experience, but like Teflon for positive ones. Crazy as it is, but the good news is you can rewire your own brain. Now, it does take a little bit of work, but anyone can do it. One of the best resources that I've used is a book by Sean Achor called The Happiness Advantage. He has a TED Talk about it too, so I hope you'll listen to that or pick up his book. Another great book is How to Rewire Your Brain for Positivity and Happiness by Walter Chen. I'm sure you can find dozens of other great resources to help you stay focused on the positive and rewire your brain. But do consider how this is impacting sales at your company. So I was talking to a client the other day, and she was complaining about sales. And she was saying things like, these salespeople don't, fill in the blank. Why can't they? And if they only would. Wow, if your salespeople suck, fix it or fire them. Stop complaining though. It's not about them, it's about you. You're letting them do it. That is why I always say, if you really want to drive sales growth, it starts with you. You're the one. When salespeople aren't doing their job, stop looking at them and turn around and look at yourself. What is it that you are doing to help them? What is it that you might be doing that's preventing your company from increasing sales? That's right, I said it. You might be the one preventing your company from increasing sales. I know that sounds crazy, but you've really got to take a look at it and make sure that you're not. Because if you're having those negative thoughts, somehow they are impacting your sales. Now, there are dozens of ways that you can increase sales. There's all kinds of things you can do in every realm. But I'm asking you, what are you willing to do to change? What are you willing to do differently to impact your sales, to really drive the growth that you want? Well, I know that most of you could probably improve in some fashion. How do I know that? Because I can. So we need to think about our mindset, our skill set, and our tool set, and think about how we can improve. I'll tell you this, if I magically gave you everything you needed in the way of skill set and tool set, it wouldn't help much unless your mindset was right first. It just really doesn't make much difference if we don't have the right attitude and the right mindset to really drive growth. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about what you can do or what you can change. The first thing has to be your mindset. I see companies who give their salespeople sales training, give their sales manager training, and provide a lot of things, but they still have a negative mindset around sales. I see them buying new tools and make sure everybody has the latest and the greatest. Everybody's excited for a while when they get all their new tools, but then it's just back to business as usual. So think about how your brain, the crazy thoughts in your head, the negative thoughts, and the things that come out of your mouth could be impacting your sales. So one of my clients wanted to increase sales, and they had a great team. They hired me to train and coach them. They had the greatest and the latest in everything. When I talked to the salespeople, though, their morale was low, and they felt their goals were impossible to meet. Not only that, but they felt unappreciated. When they didn't hit their number, their sales manager yelled at them. When they hit their number, he yelled at them some more. You can do even better. That yelling, screaming, and threatening thing that some of our parents may have even done, it just doesn't work. It's not very motivational. Another sales leader that I was working with was talking with his manager, and they were telling me that there was this one salesperson they just really didn't like very much. They didn't trust their sales team because they were always out of the office and they didn't know what their salespeople were doing. When I talked to the sales team, they said, the owner and the sales manager don't like us. Now remember, they revealed to me that they didn't like one of the salespeople, but that was rubbing off on the rest of them. They also said that they weren't appreciated and they couldn't get their job done because the owner wanted them in the office. What a huge disconnect. Now, I'm sure that the owner was trying to increase sales, and I don't think she thought she was preventing sales, but she truly was, just based on the disconnect that I heard from her and the sales manager and the salespeople. So I want you to ask yourself, are you getting in the way of sales? I realize things may not be as bad as those two stories I just told you at your company, but I've heard things like this many, many times. And I know that as sales leaders and business owners, sometimes you do get in the way of sales, or you might be letting someone else at your company get in the way of sales. You may actually have a sales prevention department. And if you do, you're going to have to do something about it if you want to drive that growth. This is really driving sales growth is all about you. It's all about what you're willing to do. So back to your mindset. What is your mindset about sales? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it neutral? And what are you doing to develop yourself as a leader so that you can get the sales growth you need? What are you willing to do? What are you willing to change? Are you willing to do something different? Let's start with your mindset. So maybe it is a little negative. I think that's human nature, like we said before, and we're really wired that way. So we have to do things to positively impact our mindset and think about the way we feel about sales. So what are the things you're doing to keep a positive mindset in general? Are you taking a vacation and getting away from work? Are you exercising daily? Do you take breaks? Are you nice to people? Do you give compliments? Do you take some time out and meditate occasionally? Smile? These are all things you can do to keep a positive mindset, and they make a difference. So it's important for you to check your attitude. You may think that you have a positive mindset, but what's your attitude about yourself and your work? Think about it. What kinds of thoughts do you have about yourself? Are they negative, positive? What about your work? What about your team? Check your attitude. What is the talk going on inside of your head? That's important to note. And you're going to have to flip the switch on that and make sure that that talk is positive. If you've got this negative vibe going on, saying things like, if only this company would, oh, Jim's not going to make it. Why don't they ever? Those kinds of negative thoughts and negative words are not helping you drive sales. Think about not only what is going on inside your head, but what are you saying to others? Are you letting those negative thoughts out? And what impact are they having on people? Or do you get up every morning, look in the mirror and say, hey, good looking, I love you. You are fantastic. It's going to be a great day and we are going to help our team succeed today. Thinking about all the positive ways that you can contribute to your team's success. Because if you have a great mindset, you can be a great leader. And great leaders can have great sales. But you have to believe, right? You have to believe. And that's part of your mindset. So what are your beliefs about your abilities as a leader? What are your beliefs about your leadership team? And what are your beliefs about each salesperson? Get your mindset right first. Like the flight attendant says, put that mask over your own face first before attempting to help others. Once your mindset is right, you are ready for takeoff. And then you consider your skill set. What are the skills that you need? Do you have them? If you don't, how are you going to get them? If you think back to how you learned to manage sales, maybe you weren't privileged enough to have a class on sales management. Most of us weren't. We learned from the people around us. In fact, we learned a lot of our management skills from our parents and the other people who have managed us. So thinking about how you learn to manage sales, what you know and what you don't know, what you like about the way you manage sales and what you don't like about the way you manage sales. Think about those things and think about what you're doing to continually develop your skills. Are you reading something? Are you attending a training? Do you work with a coach or a mentor? Are you asking for feedback from people? All of those are ways that you can very inexpensively and easily continue developing yourself. In fact, I highly recommend that you have a development plan. I build a development plan for myself every year. I think about what I've learned in the past year. I think about what I want to learn next. I think about what my strengths and weaknesses are, what I want to get better at, and I literally write down a development plan. And I'm really going to urge you to do the same, because I think if you think through and write it down, you will have it more cemented and you can follow that plan and make sure that you're continuing to develop yourself, not just hoping it will happen. And maybe while you're doing that, you might want to research, what is good sales leadership today? What does good sales leadership look like? Well, leadership is leadership. There's some things special to sales. But I was reading an article that Forbes wrote on the top qualities that make a great sales leader. Here they are: honesty, the ability to delegate, good communication, confidence, commitment, positive attitude, creativity, intuition, being inspiring, and having a great approach. How do you stack up? Take a look. Maybe you can find that Forbes article and read it and think about how you might use some of that information to develop yourself. And then once you've got the skills, you also have to take a look at the tools. Do you have all the tools you need to be a great sales leader? What tools do you have, and are you using them well? Maybe you should get rid of some. Maybe you should add some. But you definitely have to take a look at the tools. Most of us have so many tools we don't use. And then the ones that we do use, we use like 10% of what they can actually do. So think about the tools that you have, the tools that you need, and how well you use them. Now, also, something that a lot of you don't think about in terms of great sales leadership is your brand, your own personal brand. It's one of the greatest tools that you have. And I'm going to ask you, what are you doing to develop your brand? Now, let's stop for a minute and answer the question, what is your personal brand? Because I think some people are kind of confused about that. They think, oh, just maybe having a brand online. But if you want to increase sales, your personal brand matters because it's your reputation, it's your image, it's what people think about you. And this can be different in different places. Your brand with your sales team, your brand with your leadership team, your brand with your clients, and then of course your brand online. They might all be a bit different, but there should be some consistencies between them. And you really need to examine that brand, know it, understand it, and know how you want to improve it. It's important to think about this. You want your salespeople to make more sales. You want rapid exponential sales growth. You want sales to increase. That's great. You've got to think about how you're impacting that. You want your salespeople out there building their brand, online and off. What are you doing to build your brand? Now, especially online today, we know that salespeople must build their brand. But many of the sales leaders and business owners I know expect salespeople to do it, but they don't do it themselves. Now, that's just crazy in my opinion, because we know that we have to model what we want people to do. We have to lead the way. And so I ask you, are you building your brand online? Now, think about it. There's a lot of reasons to do this. One is to just draw the right people to your company. Another is because salespeople leave and you want the people at your key accounts to know you as well as your salespeople, and they can know you online. It's a very easy way. Are you connected to all of the key people at your key accounts? If you're not, get connected. That way, when the salespeople leave, they still know you. They still have a connection to you, and you have a brand that they know and understand. Another great reason to develop your brand online is because your connections can benefit your entire company. There are people you know that your salespeople need to be introduced to, and you can make those introductions for them. So consider that. Is your brand helping or hurting? You decide and make the necessary changes. What do you need to do to develop your brand? Think about it. But here are a couple things I'll share with you. You definitely should share your vision. Share your vision with your teammates, share your vision with the other leaders at your company, and share your vision online. Be visible. Yes, your sales team needs you. Even if you're the business owner, you've got to be available to your team at some time. So be visible, be available. Interact, share, converse, and be a connector. Help get people introduced. So share, be visible, be available, be a connector. Those are great ways to develop your brand. It starts with you. It really does. I know you want to drive sales growth and you want the salespeople to do it, but it starts with you. And you have to look at how you're contributing or maybe how you're preventing sales. So I'm going to encourage you to put together a development plan for yourself using the information that I've just gone through. Write it down and then figure out how you're going to deploy that plan and continue developing yourself. Once you have done that, you've put your own oxygen mask on, then you can start to help develop your team. And they will notice that you're changing and that you care. And in that way, you'll better be able to help them develop. But you have to believe And so it's all the way back to mindset where we started. You have to believe. You have to believe that you can exceed your goals, that your sales team can be great, that you can drive that growth. You have to believe that. You have to get those positive thoughts spinning around in your head. That new mindset is going to give you new results. And that's what you need if you want to drive growth. So it may be time for a change. What are you willing to do to be that great sales leader, to drive sales from the leadership place? What is it that you're willing to do? And are you going to need help? Maybe you're going to find someone to help you, a mentor or a friend or a coach. Maybe you're going to join a group of other like-minded people and advance together. There are lots of people out there to help you, so don't let that be a barrier. Find the help that you need. Read the books, listen to the podcasts, write things down, and think about what you're going to change and how you're going to contribute to sales success. Think about what you are going to do differently as the sales leader to drive that growth. If you'd like more information on all of the ideas that I've talked about today, please send me a message at my email, alice@aliceheiman.com, or on LinkedIn, and mention that you want to drive sales growth, and I will send you some resources. Thanks for joining me. Go out there and drive sales growth and have a great mindset that will get you there.